Good morning, my good people, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Appreciate your patience here this morning. Wake Up Call coming to you Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.Podbean.com. However you're connecting with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe, including maybe at your International Space Station. However you pick up the show on the internet, you can find us anywhere in the world, or maybe above the world, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the show goes live, you can also find us in the archives, or you can go there right now. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube, as well as others. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So, a good morning to my people out there. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. Happy Friday. And if you're an NCAA tournament lover like myself, then this is my favorite part. It's one of my favorite parts of the year. Not even my favorite part of the tournament. It's one of my favorite parts of the entire calendar year. And that is because we get games all day long, pretty much, from noon until past midnight. I was up last night interviewing Bill Self of Kansas at almost 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So definitely appreciated it. It was worth staying up. Kansas also almost lost to Samford, and there were some really good games. There's some upsets that I picked that were right, like Duquesne. And there was other upsets that I was so close on, like Drake. So I almost got that one. But Drake just down the stretch, man, couple points here and there. That's all it was, just a little bit of separation. 5 points, I think. So, and it was interesting because the last 5 points that were scored, when you go back and you look at the matchup that the Drake Bulldogs had, the last points that were scored by Washington State, their last 5 points were at the charity stripe, and Washington State won by 5. So when you talk about like how important free throws are, and people want to joke around and go, "Oh yeah, Dan, free throws, yeah, okay, they're pretty good." No, free throws are extremely important. They matter greatly, and in this game, if they didn't make their free throws, then there's a good chance this game would have went to overtime, or we would have seen Drake move on instead of Washington State. So free throws do matter. They matter very much so. We're going to get into a lot of things here on the broadcast this morning. Very excited on a Friday. As you know, we always have our trio of signature segments inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We're going to start the show off with the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel, DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. Then we're going to jump into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver in hour number 1. Lead coming to you proudly presented by the fantastic team at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Today's topic for Lead is going to be, who said you can't? Who said you can't? We're going to talk about it. Starting off hour number 2, the top dog of the week will be announced, and then we're proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. And then we will get into my conversation at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time with fellow broadcaster Chris Heidel of HerbFM Sports Radio, who will be speaking with me about the NCAA tournament, 2024 NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. We're going to be discussing the round of 64, what happened yesterday, how many brackets have been busted already in the first couple hours, in the first half a day, in the first day itself. Some brackets are already on their way to the I don't even want to say to the garbage bin, because even if your bracket's not that great, you gotta hang on to it. I mean, some people that had Kansas, right? They're like, oh my gosh, some people have Kansas, maybe they have them in the Final Four, and so they're just happy that Kansas is alive this morning to go to the round of 32 when they almost lost that game. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on the broadcast today, and Chris is going to join me to talk about the tournament through his eyes, and we'll have some fun with that around 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We appreciate you being with us. Let's jump right into the annoying moment of the week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel, DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The annoying moment of the week, folks. I have a couple, as I always do, and I seem to always have a few. The annoying moment of the week, folks, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York, right at the end of Erie Boulevard. We got some stuff to talk about here today, folks, okay? And one of the things that's my annoying moment of the week, I want to say I'm surprised, but I feel like the world is a strange place. And as much as this surprises me, I also know that people are weird. Some people are just weird. They're just strange. You ever meet somebody and you're like, what happened along the way? Like, how did we get here? How did this moment come to be? Who talked to you and had a conversation with you that provoked this? Or what provoked this? Why do you act like that? Why do you do these things? Because some people, they just throw you off. You're like, is this even human? You're like, you want to study it. You know, I said, like with Stephen King, I said, the day that Stephen King's not on the planet, we have to study his brain. Because, and obviously, you know, I want everybody to live a healthy, happy, awesome life. I'm not saying, okay, this person needs to go. I'm saying, once, you know, Stephen King dies at the ripe age of 105 and is well and everything's good, that when he was no longer on the planet anymore, that we have to study his brain to find out if there was something added or if there was something missing. Because his ability to terrify us is ridiculous. And the ideas he comes up... Did you ever see The Mist? That movie is wildly disturbing. And the things that he created don't exist. But when you see them in his movie, you're like, do they exist? Has he seen them? So, speaking of does it exist and have you seen it, have you been to the airport recently and had somebody be weird at the airport? Or somebody be difficult? Well, if you were at a Boston airport, Boston Logan International Airport recently, a traveler said that they were carrying dried fish. Gross. And so said they were carrying dried fish. But after examining it, airport agents discovered that it was not dried fish. It was the mummified remains belonging to 4 monkeys, which included heads of these mummified monkeys. A canine officer named Buddy sniffed out the dead and dehydrated monkeys from inside luggage belonging to a traveler who returned to the U.S. from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Raw or minimally processed meat from certain wild animals, otherwise known as bush meat, is not allowed to enter the U.S. largely out of health concerns. Julio Caravia, the area port director at CBP Boston, said, bush meat can carry germs that can cause illness, including the Ebola virus. That's fun. The traveler on Thursday carried about 8 pounds of bushmeat. The Center for Disease Control marked it for destruction. Airport agents around the country have encountered a variety of meats. In 2022, agents at Washington Dulles Airport confiscated charred bat. In 2019, officers at O'Hare International Airport intercepted 32 pounds of rat meat. So, just so you know, if you're flying today, anywhere in the United States, you may encounter someone who's trying to spread the Ebola virus, or has mummified remains of monkeys, which I feel like would be used in a ritual, which I feel like this world doesn't need, because whatever rituals have already been performed seem to be working. So, but Wow. I mean, why? Like, what? Why? Why? Why do you have heads of monkeys in your luggage? It's just strange. By the way, the Travis Kelce thing, how about this? Let's talk about this for a moment, folks. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I told you I didn't buy it, right? Remember when I told you I thought it was a publicity stunt? When I told you it wasn't real? When I told you I don't think it's happening? Well, looking at this, let's see here. Do they have the information on it for me? A little bit, maybe not much. So, but there's a new lady in the life of Travis Kelce. So you mean to tell me that when the season ended, there isn't anything for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? You mean to tell me that it was potentially a publicity stunt that you were warned about here on Wake Up Call many months ago? That it could very well just not be a real thing? You wouldn't say. Because what did I tell you? I said after the season, I want you to tell me if they're still together. When Taylor Swift does not have the NFL to use to promote herself for free. Once it's gone, is it a real relationship? I have told you over and over and over again that I don't believe that this is going on. But there's pictures that he's got a new girlfriend. There was the way that he hugged his ex that made people feel weird. And then there's this thing going on with Taylor Swift. I told you it's a publicity stunt, and I feel like, listen, if they're married, or if they're going to get married and they're going to have a life together and they're going to love each other up, then I think it's awesome. But I'm not a believer in this whole thing. It seems all too Hollywood for me. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Don't get mad at me, Taylor Swift fans, because if it ain't real, it ain't real. Now, but here's the thing. It brings me to an annoying moment of the week, or annoying moment in general, is that a lot of people in Hollywood don't stay together, and they don't change their names. If I was getting married to somebody and she's like, I'm going to keep my name, I'm like, this probably isn't going to end well. I mean, you know what I mean? And you also think about this too, a prenuptial agreement. Some people get them, some people don't. I've been married before, and I asked myself the question, would I get a prenuptial agreement? So maybe I should ask the listeners, do you have one? So, you know what I mean? I just feel like there should be laws in place. I feel like when someone, depending on how somebody leaves a relationship, there should be laws in place to say that they don't get anything. And that's just how it should be. But these Hollywood things, some of these look like publicity stunts. And I hope it's not, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not wishing bad on Travis and Taylor. I just, now that there's no NFL season going on, I wonder, is it real? And I guess we're going to find out. So, looking at some of the other stuff that's gone on here, the solar eclipse is coming, by the way, folks. And we keep being warned about it in Central. I don't want to say warned about it. We keep being told it's coming. I don't think the world needs a solar eclipse right now. I think when I was a child, they were beautiful. A lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse. They were awesome. I feel like as an adult, knowing how crazy this world is and people not really needing an excuse to be weird, that if there's a solar eclipse, they could say, oh, the world is ending, and I'm going to do these things that I'm not supposed to do because, look, the world's ending, because look at how weird the sky looks. So I want to tell you something about this. When a total solar eclipse transforms day into night, will tortoises start acting romantic There's a lot of different things here. So researchers will be standing by to observe how animals' routines at the Fort Worth Zoo in Texas are disrupted when skies dim on April 8th. They previously detected other strange animal behavior in 2017 at a South Carolina zoo that was in the path of total darkness. Adam Hartstone Rose, a North Carolina State, NC State, what up? They won yesterday, picked them. Researcher who observed some of these things said, quote, to our astonishment, most of the animals did surprising things, end quote. While there are many individual sightings of critters behaving bizarrely during historic eclipses, only in recent years have scientists started to rigorously study altered behavior. 7 years ago, Galapagos tortoises at the Riverbanks Zoo in Columbia, South Carolina, quote, that generally do absolutely nothing all day. That's like some people. During the peak of the eclipse, they all started breeding, end quote. The cause of behavior is still unclear. So, if a tortoise or human decides, so if you are married and your spouse has not touched you in years, months, days, when the solar eclipse happens, if they jump on you, it might not be love. It might be the dimming of light on Earth. So, I'm sorry. I couldn't keep it together after saying that. A mated pair of Siamangs, gibbons that usually call to each other in the morning, sang unusual turns during the afternoon eclipse. A few male giraffes began to gallop in apparent anxiety, end quote. I feel like that's just because they saw how humans are acting these days. The flamingos huddled around their juveniles. Smart. I like that. So we've seen different things happen with animals during a solar eclipse or some type of eclipse. So several other zoos along the path are inviting visitors to help track animals, including zoos in Little Rock, Arkansas, Toledo, Ohio, and Indianapolis, Indiana. The full solar eclipse in North America crisscrosses a different route than in 2017 and occurs in a different season, giving researchers and citizen scientists opportunities to observe new habits. Quote, it's really high stakes. We have a really short period to observe them, and we can't repeat the experiment, end quote, came from Jennifer Tisaruta, University of Tennessee entomologist who observes honeybee colonies during the 2017 eclipse. The honeybees that she studied decreased foraging during the eclipse as they usually would at night, except for those from the hungriest hives. Quote, during a solar eclipse, there's a conflict between their internal rhythms and external environment, said University of Alberta's Olav Ruppel, adding that bees rely on polarized light from the sun to navigate. This is interesting. So, apparently you should watch your animals to see their routines during the solar eclipse to see if they behave differently. The solar eclipse, just so you know, is April 8th. And I don't think you're supposed to look at it. I remember as kids, I was in Little League. I was playing baseball. And I think that they gave us special glasses to wear. And I was like, I don't, like even with these special glasses that just look like 3D goggles, am I supposed to put these on and think that it's not going to affect my eyes? So this is what it says. It says, okay, celestial mechanics say any one spot on the Earth's surface should experience a total solar eclipse only once every 375 years. The 30,000 residents of the Midwestern city of Carbondale, Illinois, they're about to witness the moon block out the sun for the second time in just 7 years. The sky will go pitch black for 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Nearly double what happened last time. As many as 200,000 people are expected to flood prime viewing locations in southern Illinois for the Great American Eclipse, Part 2. So this is interesting here. So we're supposed to experience a partial eclipse. Let's see here. No, we're supposed to get a total eclipse. We're in the line. We are in the line of total eclipse here. I'm looking at something on my phone. So let's see if you can see it. Can you see it? It's pretty bright in here in the studio. But that black line, the state of New York is in that black line. That's crazy. So we're supposed to experience a total eclipse. It's going to be the most populated eclipse in the United States, with 31.5 million people able to just walk outside of their homes to experience it, Dr. Kelly Carrick had said, U.S. Space Agency's eclipse program manager. NASA will be doing experiments such as launching rockets into the shadowed cast by the moon to see how it affects the top of the Earth's atmosphere, or its ionosphere. Instrumented jet planes will chase the shadow. It says, quote, the reason that we're flying aeroplanes, besides the fact that it's really cool, is because getting up high into the atmosphere means you can actually access wavelengths of light you can't do from the ground, end quote, from Amir Caspi from the Southwest Research Institute. 2024 solar eclipse will begin way out in the Pacific Ocean, with the inhabitants of Penrhyn Atoll, part of the Cook Islands, greeted by a darkened sun at dawn. The moon's deep shadow, or umbra, will then race across the Earth's surface at more than 2,500 kilometers per hour, which is 1,500 miles per hour, crossing the Mexican coast at 11:07 Mountain Time, and the Rio Grande border between Mexico and the U.S. at 13:27 Central Domestic Time. It looks like the journey continues up through 13 U.S. states before sweeping in the Canadian provinces of New Brunswick and Newfoundland. The moon's umbra will lift off the Earth's surface into the Atlantic Ocean and then go west toward Normandy. And Europe may not see this. So it says people have plans already in place. The chance of avoiding confounding. I'm trying to see here if they're telling you should look at it. Apparently nobody's telling you if you're supposed to look at it like they did when we were children. They're special because they afford favorable conditions to study the tenuous outer atmosphere of the sun, its corona, because it kind of looks like an eye, like an iris. So the corona is outshone by the sun's surface. I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to tell you guys if it's going to be good because there's these people wearing glasses that just look like cheap 3D things that you'd get when you buy a 3D movie. You know, like the cardboard stuff with the reflector. But, okay, let's see what it says here. It does not say. It says, get out there and enjoy it, but do it safely. Don't look at the exposed sun with the naked eye. There you go. That was at the bottom of the story. That was at the bottom of the story. It was in the third to last paragraph. Don't look at the sun directly with your eyes. Because, I mean, I would think that that's like a normal thing that people should know. But as you've realized, and I've realized with the dawn of social media, there's a lot of people out there who we would like to call interesting, unique, strange. And you have to literally tell them that coffee is hot. And to not walk into a fire with bare feet, and to not walk up to a gorilla and tap on its back and say, how are you today? You have to tell some people those things. So, just saying. So when we see the solar eclipse on April 8th, it's going to be unique. And it's going to be interesting, cool, but please don't look at it with your naked eye. Got some thoughts that came in. Syracuse is in the sweet spot. Syracuse Mets are actually doing a promotion around the eclipse. One of, or the only minor league teams to be playing on a Monday. Yeah, I did see they were doing something. Many schools are doing a half day for the eclipse. Many Wegmans chains are shutting down for 30 minutes to observe the event. Yeah, I just feel like it's something that we don't need right now. You know, another weird thing to happen. There's a lot of polarizing stuff in politics right now. There's a pandemic that was very confusing and strange and is still strange. There's these commercials from celebrities telling us to get 19 shots a year because it's fun and interesting, and that when there's another one, we should get another one, and then probably another one, and then you should just get used to just putting stuff in your body that you have no idea what it is. And then now we have an eclipse coming. And I would normally be very excited about this, but I don't feel like human beings need another reason to think the world is ending. I don't think they do. And I think that this is one of those things that makes people think that the world is going to end. So I'm excited to see it. I just don't want it to cause panic, because I feel like people are already on edge and anxious in America. So it's like, thank you, God, for this solar eclipse. Also, can we handle this as a science experiment and not be weird about it, people? Don't make it another annoying moment of the week, please. Just be nice. I don't want to see something in the news like solar eclipse causes people to jump headfirst through buildings, and it just somebody broke a window because the solar eclipse spoke to them and they heard a spirit tell them. I just feel like things like this make people think that the end of the world is coming. It makes people think that they have the right to do something. It's like, oh, I got 4 minutes when the sky's totally dark and people are paying attention, and I can go break into a building and steal a bunch of stuff. Like, just be nice. Just be kind. I know where I'm going to be. So it's going to be unique, too, because I'm going to be on the road. But enjoy the solar eclipse on April 8th. Please practice safety. Do not look directly into it, which is funny because that's the whole point of a solar eclipse, is that everybody wants to look at it. By the way, how do we get the goggles? How do we get the things that we're supposed to wear? They're not just going to come pass it out in neighborhoods. Maybe I have to go to Wegmans. Maybe I have to pretend I'm a student and go get one on campus somewhere. But don't look directly into it. Don't do anything crazy. And remember that it may cause tortoises to mate. And it may cause your wife or your husband to also mate with you for 4 minutes and 9 seconds. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and perfect to hear from Jimmer Sikowski of Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, our fearless leader at both locations, because it is now time for Lead. Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, a segment we bring to you every single Friday here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. This acronym, Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, every single week I give this acronym a specific topic. It has to deal with learning, evolving, ad-libbing, and delivering on a promise to yourself or a promise to somebody else. Today's topic, who said you can't? Who said you couldn't do something? Right? Who said you can't? I'm not talking about doing bad things. I'm not talking about hurting people. Unfortunately, in today's world, I feel like I have to disclaimer that. Who said you can't? Somebody in your life at some point has told you that you can't do something. You're never going to make it. When I left traditional radio, I had people ask me for a couple of years, when are you going to ESPN? When are you going back to ESPN? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? How come you're doing this? How come you left traditional radio? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I had to just tune it out because I was trusting God on a path. And it obviously worked out. They don't ask anymore. Every once in a while, you get somebody that asks that at your grandmother's funeral while she's laying in a casket. I'm sorry, at her wake. I had somebody walk up to me and goes, "Hey, I don't see you anymore. When are you going to go back to ESPN? Make it big." And I said, I work for myself. I own my own multimedia marketing company. I think I like that. I think I like working for me more than anybody else. And I loved my time at ESPN at 3 different affiliates in 3 different states. But I wanted to form my own business. And I looked over my shoulder at my grandmother's body who was laying there, and I said, she's proud of me. So, thanks for bringing it up at her wake, but I think she's proud of me, and I think I'm proud of me, and I think God's proud of me, and I think it's probably time for you to shake my hand and keep on stepping. I don't wish bad on those people, but some people are ignorant. Who said you can't? Somebody in your life told you couldn't do something. You know that, and I know that. Sometimes it's a total stranger. A lot of times, that's who it is. On social media, people tell you can't all the time. You're just a pretty face. Oh, that's cute that you're trying to do that. Oh, you think you can. You don't know how. You're not going to make it. Right? It's something that you have to learn over time. But the people that think you can't do something are typically the people that aren't doing something. They're not the successful people, or they might look like they have a lot of money, but how did they make that money? See, people that want you to fail or want you to think that you will fail, those people are not happy. They're not successful, no matter how many cars they have, no matter how many houses they have, no matter what their wife or husband looks like, no matter how much jewelry they're wearing or how much money's in their bank account. When somebody tells you you can't succeed, typically it's because you're a threat. Right? You ever have somebody come up to you in your profession and they ignore you, or they're rude to you, or they're disrespectful to you, and you're like, I've never even talked to this person. Do they even know how to spell my last name? And they don't like you. And years go by and they don't like you. and they talk to people about you and they say bad things about you, and you can't figure out why. Because you achieving your dreams, to some people always on this planet, when you achieve your dreams, we have this false sense that the world is going to clap. We believe when we achieve our dreams that God's excited, we're excited, our loved ones are excited, and the world will be like, wow, you're doing something positive. This is great. You're helping people. You're doing good things. Yes. Good for you, man. Good for you, lady. Come on, let's do it. But when you achieve your dreams, it offends some people. When you achieve your dreams, you remind them that they're not achieving theirs. And that causes animosity. So who told you can't? Was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it your brother? Was it your sister? Was it your spouse? Was it your girlfriend? Was it your boyfriend? Was it your neighbor? Was it your classmate? Is it somebody you work with? Is it somebody on the internet? Who told you you're not going to achieve your dreams? Because I want to tell you something today. They're wrong. And the only way that you make them right is by listening. It's the only way that you make them right. The only way is when you decide to quit. When you, and that word makes me want to throw up every time I say it, but it's when you decide that you cannot. Because you can, and you will, if you believe and put the work in. You got to believe and put the work in. You can't believe and not put the work in. You can't put the work in and not believe. So my question to you this morning is, are you not doing something in your life because somebody told you it's impossible, or that you specifically can't succeed in doing it? Because every single person that feels like we've had any success in our lives can go to a person or a time where something happened that tried to hinder us from achieving our dreams. I can go back there immediately. I can go to family members that said things to me. I can go to friends that tried to get me to second guess myself, and I can go to perfect strangers. I can go to people that I worked alongside. It's happened. But the question that we must ask ourselves is, who cares about their opinion? Why do you care about the opinion of somebody else? Well, Dan, you don't understand. You don't understand, Dan. These people, when they tell me I can't do something, Dan, I believe them because they this and they that and they have this and they have that. I don't care. I don't care. Because the moment that you let somebody tell you that you cannot do something and believe it, you can't stop them from saying it. But the moment you believe it, do you think Gandhi's life was easy? Do you think Mother Teresa's life was easy? Do you think Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was easy? Do you think Abraham Lincoln's life was easy? Do you think Thomas Edison, when he said, hey, I'm going to create light, and they said, you're a nut job. God made the sun. You can't be God and make light. And he wasn't God, but he figured out a way to create light, didn't he? People that thought the earth was round and not flat. Do you know how many people in society were told that they were crazy? Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Harriet Tubman. Do you know how many people did things against the grain that they were told they cannot do? There was a family in Luxembourg during World War II that hid my great-uncle Pat, the pilot that he flew with, and other people in their home in a hole behind a stove. And Nazis came to their house and said to the man of the house, I will kill you in front of your wife and children if I find that you're hiding anyone, including Americans. I will murder you in front of your family. He was told, you cannot, you should not, please do not help people. do not help Americans, do not help people that we're looking for. And he put his life on the line. He put his life on the line. And if he didn't do that, then there's no Great Uncle Pat and Aunt Sue. And then there's no Patrick and Suzanne and Cindy in my family. And then there's no cousins. Then none of those people exist. One guy and his family made a decision to protect my Great Uncle Pat when he was told he can't do things like that. And he didn't save one life. He saved generations of people. He saved, at this point, 4 generations of human beings. Because someone told him he couldn't do something, and he said, that's your opinion. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's how powerful standing up for what's right is. That's how powerful standing up for what you believe in is. That man and his family made a decision. That entire, I don't want to say that man and his family because they threatened him, but that entire family in Luxembourg saved 4 generations because someone said, you can't do this. And they said, okay, that's your opinion. So when you think to yourself, no, Greg, the earth is not flat. I have to share that with you. I know Greg's joking, but I know some people are going, the earth isn't flat, Dan? What do you mean? You mean that if I leave California and I go out in a boat to the Pacific Ocean, I'm not just going to fly off into space? No, this isn't Peter Pan. It's not what happens. There's no floating ships that I know of. Maybe there is. I don't know. The government is very secretive. But it's all a matrix. What did Isaac say to me a couple days ago? Oh, because I did something I did something in the world of romance that like men don't typically do, and and Isaac told me I broke the matrix. So which I think I did. I'm pretty confident I did break the matrix. But when somebody says you can't do something, right? You can't marry someone who's a different color than you. Can't marry someone who's a different religion than you. Look at these incredible marriages and look at these incredible connections and look at these incredible things. You can't do this. You can't have a baby in your 40s. And look at these, you know what I mean? It's like these things that people have said to people. You cannot do this. This is not possible. How many people have believed and how many people have not? And how many people were hurt by the words that were said but continued to strive forward anyways? What I'm trying to tell you this morning is that it doesn't matter what people say and it doesn't matter what they do. It matters what you believe and it matters what you're willing to do. Because there is not one good thing that has happened on this planet that came from somebody being told that they can't and they went, okay, and then they sat down. People that stand up for what is right are always told that they can't. They shouldn't. Don't do that. I'm 38 years old. When you try to do the right thing, there are people that suggest that you don't. There are people that suggest that you keep your mouth shut. There are people that suggest you to mind your business. And where has that ever gotten any of us? So when you're chasing your dreams today, or you're trying to be a good Samaritan, I want you to remember that what other people say is only given value by you. What people say to you is not given value by them. It's giving value by you. You decide how much their words count in your life. Are they negative $12 or are they $1 million? When somebody says something to you, because here's the thing. I promise you, your favorite actor has been attacked on social media by somebody who tells them they can't act. Your favorite musician has been attacked by somebody on social media or in person or at a show. Your favorite sports player, your mom, your dad, we've all had stories where somebody told us we couldn't do something, made fun of us, tried to push us down, tried to keep us from getting somewhere. And I can promise you something. If you listen to those people, the world will lose out on a light. If you don't listen to those people, you could be the next person that changes the world for the better. You could be the next person that saves a life. You could be the next person that achieves something that was impossible before. You could be the next person to set a precedent. You could be the next person to take the gifts that God gave you and do something with them. The whole point of today's topic of who said you can't is to answer that question with, who cares? Who the heck cares? We have all dealt with negative people. We have all dealt with hate of some kind. We have all been put in a place where life is not easy. And we are put in those places to learn. We are put in those places to grow. We are put in those places to evolve. We are put in those places to ad-lib. We are put in those places to deliver. We are not put on this planet to sit idly by and do what we want to do until somebody tells us to stop doing that. There's a quote that sits outside of my studio, because my office and my studio are connected. And there's a quote that is right outside my studio in my office going into my studio. It says, compromise where you can, and where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right, even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye, and say, no. You move. Keep chasing your dreams, folks. Keep getting after the things that you love in life. Be good to people. Be good to yourself. And remember, a person's words value is whatever price you put on it. Stop thinking that what they say is valuable. You decide the price, the worth of the words of the people that stand in your way. I'll give you a hint. It ain't worth anything. Keep moving, keep fighting, keep believing. And when somebody tells you you can't, don't prove them wrong. Prove yourself right. This has been Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. You can find them both right off the highway. Very easy to get to. 7916 Brewerton Road for Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. We'll see you at both. And I appreciate Jimmer Sikowski. As always, one of the greatest people I've ever met. And his Chick-fil-A's, they're a step above. I love Chick-fil-A. But Jimmer Sikowski's Chick-fil-A's, the staff that he has there, the team members, it's more. It's more. And that's why I'd rather come home and go to Chick-fil-A Cicero or Chick-fil-A Clay than to go to one on the road. Because it's just even better than what I expected a Chick-fil-A to be. And credit to Jimmer and his team for that. We'll be back right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. It is time now to jump into our third piece that we always give you on a Friday, and that being the top dog of the week. Top dog of the week coming to you proudly presented by the fantastic team at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. Top dog of the week for this week. Who will it be? Well, my top dogs of the week have to do with the NCAA tournament, and I got to tell you, the first top dog that comes to mind for me to throw your way is none other than the wonderful university that happens to be in the state of Pittsburgh that my little sis Larissa goes to. And that is my honoring of these top dogs of the week, the Duquesne Dukes, who I picked to win yesterday in the NCAA Men's Basketball Division I tournament. I picked the Duquesne Dukes, and the Duquesne Dukes, because I think my East bracket is where I have the most upsets. The Duquesne Dukes found a way to get it done. Shout out to Duquesne on their victory. An amazing game where they led the way, and they found a way to just hold on all the way through this game and put that work in the way that they did. A tremendous, tremendous matchup that they had, and all the respect to them over BYU. BYU had moments where they pushed a little bit. BYU outscored them 37-33 in the second half, but Duquesne found a way to outlast BYU. They were just smart. They were fundamental. They made good plays. They had good vision. They just did a lot of good things. They're fun to watch. It's like, how did Duquesne beat BYU? BYU in their first season in the Big 12. BYU with all their history. How could Duquesne win this game? How did Duquesne win the game? They stayed poised. They stayed focused. They stayed fundamental. They stayed smart. They made some big-time plays. You look at one of the plays that's sticking in my head right now is that one of the guys had the ball, and it was by like the foul line or maybe a little bit farther than the foul line. He's got the ball, and he picks it up, and he's fronted with a defender. So instead of freaking out and forcing a shot, or instead of pushing the ball back even farther, back to the 3-point line or something like that. He's here. He sees one of his teammates cutting and throws the ball right to him. Just really good decision making. The Duquesne Dukes, how did they win this game? They got out early and they stuck with it. And they never let the moment be too big for them. My other top dogs of the week, the NC State mother freaking Wolfpack. They won the ACC tournament playing 5 games in 5 days. They had to play on day 1. They were the 10 seed, I believe. They had to play on, or the 11 seed. They had to play on day 1 in the ACC tournament. They played round 1, round 2, round 3, which is the quarters, the semis, and the championship game. Not every team has to play 5 games in 5 days. If you're in the top 4 seeds, you only have to play 3 of the 5 days. If you're in the top 9 seeds, you only have to play 4 of the 5 days. NC State had to play every single day. They won, and they're not out of gas. Went up against Texas Tech, didn't beat Texas Tech at the buzzer. They beat Texas Tech by 13 points, 80-67, other top dogs of the week. I also have for you the Dayton Flyers. The Dayton Flyers, an institution, a university that I feel terrible for because of what they have been through. During COVID, a lot of people obviously were affected by COVID. I think in some way, shape, or form, we were all affected by COVID. And when you look at the Dayton Flyers, they are typically not a number 1 seed. I've never seen them as a number 1 seed that I can remember. So they're not a number 1 seed typically. Well, during COVID, they had the chance to not only be the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament for men's basketball, but to be the number one seed, the top overall number 1 seed, which is what UConn has this year. And due to COVID, there was no tournament. So due to COVID, Dayton was taken out of a place that they never get to be in. And with that happening that year, I said there's a chance that they could never be a number 1 seed again in the tournament. I hope that's not true. I'm a believer that everything comes back around. So hopefully that is the case. So with the Dayton Flyers, when I see them playing, it's a different, in the comfort of my own home, I do, root for them because I feel terrible for the university and what they had to go through. So I'm happy to see that they're moving forward, with no offense to the team that they played up against, facing off against Nevada. No offense to Nevada at all. Very happy for the Dayton Flyers as they get to move forward. They went on a 24-4 run to end the game yesterday in the round of 64 in the Division I men's basketball tournament. They went on a 24-4 run to end the game. Are you kidding me? A 24-4 run. Insanity. Absolute insanity. Awesome. I got to speak with the student athletes. I got to speak with their head coach as well. I appreciate the NCAA for all that they provide, including the Zoom calls nationally to have the opportunity to tell these stories and to speak with these people. I really appreciate it, very much so. Thank you to everybody working hard at the NCAA. I appreciate you very much so. Awesome ending for the Dayton Flyers. So, my top dogs of the week, a trio. The Dayton Flyers for their comeback victory on a 24-4 run. The Duquesne Dukes for just staying poised the whole game, making really good decisions, and not being a team that beat you because they're just banging threes. They went inside and banged with you. They went inside and went after the ball. They went inside and attacked the rim. They made good decision-making, pump fakes. It's just, when you watch a team that's fundamentally sound, when you say, how can Duquesne beat BYU? How can this happen? How can a Big 12 school lose to a school from the A-10? And the answer is fundamentals. The answer is poise. The answer is decision-making. The answer is trust. Fundamentals are going to kick the butt of raw talent many times. Syracuse fans see it all the time. Why does Syracuse struggle? Because they have raw talent. They have street talent. But there's little to no fundamentals in a bunch of areas. And that's why the team struggles. And I'm not here to attack the team in any way, shape, or form. I'm stating an obvious fact. I love my city. I love my home. I've been watching Syracuse my whole life. And it's frustrating as someone who's played basketball the majority of my life to say there were things I needed to know when I was a teenager that these Division I athletes don't have to study and know, which is beyond me. And if they have to study and know it, then it's not happening. I have a fourth top dog of the week, and that is a team that I didn't pick. I picked a bunch of upsets, but I did not pick this one. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies, folks, of the Horizon League, where Xavier used to be and Butler used to be. The Horizon League, or Butler used to be in the Horizon League. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies defeat Kentucky 80-76. 80-76. How about the Oakland Golden Grizzlies? And Xavier was in the Horizon League. Outlasting the Kentucky Wildcats, who were a 3 seed. Everybody's vulnerable. Everybody's vulnerable. And there was somebody that asked the question in one of the post-game press conferences yesterday that said to one of the coaches, what are your thoughts on them not giving automatic buys to mid-major conferences anymore? Like if they decided to do that. And I was like, if that's the case, then it's the end of the NCAA tournament. Look at what's happening. The Oaklands and the Duquesnes wouldn't be in the tournament to beat these teams that they're better than. And I love how people are like, well, you're not better than them. You're just better than them that day. And it's like, you know what? Give these teams some dang credit. Give the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, the Duquesne Dukes, the Dayton Flyers some dang credit. Right? Give credit where credit is due, my folks. Because who had Duquesne and Oakland? I know Dayton was a higher seed, but did you have Dayton? Right? Did you have Oregon, who was an 11 seed against 6 seeded South Carolina, who won by 14? I had Oregon. To see what, and NC State as well. NC State wins the ACC and gets an 11 seed. And you're like, okay, well, so they still have an uphill battle. But they figured it out. And there were some people that thought the Zags they were going to run into a storm with McNeese. I said they might be set up to fail here. They won by 21 points. The Zags letting you know, we're in, baby. And we're not trying to leave anytime soon. My top dogs of the week. Oakland, Duquesne, Dayton, and NC State for having a tremendous first day of the round of 64, leaving less than 1%, I think it's less than 1% of the world's brackets that are completely perfect on day one. Not to disrespect the first 4, bracket challenges start counting within the round of 64. Craziness. We're going to take a step aside, and we're going to have a conversation with Chris Heidel about all this right after this fast break. Once again, the top dog of the week. Proudly presented by the awesome people at K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding. Big time shout out and thanks to all of the wonderful people led by Lorraine and Chad at K9 Camp Dog Daycare. K9 Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. You can get in touch with them by calling 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. And you can go and check out more information about K9 Camp Dog Daycare for short-term care for your dog by going to K-9KAMP.com. And, of course, the Kampground for longer-term care where every dog gets their own cabin. You can get more information on K9 Kampground by calling 315-299-4013. That's 299-4013. You can also go to Kampground.com to get more information online. With that being said, we're going to take a quick step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Chris Heidel will be joining me to speak on what I just started talking about with my top dogs of the week. What happened in day one? March Madness? The rest of the tournament could be chalk. It could be just normal, and people would still be like, holy crap, my bracket is done. Some people's brackets died yesterday. In memoriam, baby. Maybe I should play some sweet music and do a little in memoriam to some of our brackets. But some of y'all chose Duquesne. And if you chose the Dukes, what's up? Because you and I feeling good this morning. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Open 7 days a week for all your sports card needs. If you've never collected a sports card before or a trading card before, folks, you're missing out on an awesome community. It gets you connected to the teams you love, to the players that you love, and to, in the case of Disney Lorcana and Pokemon, to the characters that you love. Find your way over to GG Cards and Breaks. You will not be disappointed. So many awesome things, and they're constantly changing the inventory. You never know what's going to be there. Literally, I can walk in there on a Monday, and I've walked in there on like a Thursday, Friday. I think it was a Thursday. I bought a box of cards. Saturday, all of the boxes were gone for the 2024 Topps Baseball. So make sure you get yourself out to GG Cards and Breaks today. Monday through Saturday, open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sundays 10 to 5, and they have everything: baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, AEW, All Sport, Disney Lorcana, as well as, and I think they have all 3 series of the Disney Lorcana at this point, unless they've sold out of some of them as of this morning. Pokemon as well. Singles, graded cards, packs, and boxes. Try your luck and go out there and experience what it's like to share that with somebody, because I can tell you this, folks, we might forget what we had for lunch, but I can look at any card in my studio and tell you a story behind it. Make sure that you create those memories today at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. We'll see you out there 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, come in here picture in picture with me in just a second as we bring him in. We got Chris Heidel, who's going to be joining us here on the broadcast, and as we work to bring him in on the broadcast with us, we're going to be talking about the NCAA tournament, and as we're discussing the NCAA tournament, giving you some thoughts here on exactly what's going on in this round of 64 that has been all too interesting, strange, exciting, unique, fun, weird. There's a lot of things that we could say about exactly what the brackets look like this morning for all of you out there. If you have my bracket, I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. But some brackets out there are not in the best shape, maybe we'll say this morning. But hopefully it continues for you if your bracket's in good shape. If not, I hope you redeem yourself today. I don't want to put any type of... See, I'm the type of person where I can't talk trash. If I talk trash, then I will immediately lose. So I'm going to say that yesterday was a pretty good day and look for the rain, and then say, let's have a good day again today. So with that being said, Chris Heidel here with me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora of HerbFM Sports Radio. He does a fantastic job and gives me the opportunity to come on his show a bunch of times during the year, and love to have him on the show as well. Chris, how are we doing today?
Hey, man. How you doing? Sorry about that. I'm using my girlfriend uses my computer for fitness stuff, and she forgot to log out of her Zoom. So I'm like, I looked at the bottom, and I'm like, I am not Nicole Huebler. Yeah. Yeah. So, do apologize for that this morning, but yeah, the NCAA tournament's been really weird. Yesterday, on Wednesday, I had a chance to talk to the Oakland guy, the coach of Oakland University.
Yeah.
And I asked him the question that if you beat Kentucky, is that the biggest win in your life? And he stopped and he goes, well, it probably going to be the biggest win in our program history. And then last night I was on the Zoom call listening to him, and he repeated my question that I asked him at the end. Going, some reporter asked me this yesterday. Is this the biggest win of my career if we beat, Kentucky? And he goes, yes, it is the biggest win of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, you're coming in very low, so we can't really hear you. So I want to make sure that we
get now?
A little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better. So it's coming in low on our end here. But what Chris was saying was he spoke with the head coach of the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, who we were just discussing as one of our top dogs of the week, and asking them if Kentucky was the biggest win they ever had, 80-76, and that eventually he said, yes, it is the biggest victory, as John Calipari once again has been bumped out of the tournament early. And the round of 64, we're in day 2 of it. This is my favorite part of the tournament because it is basketball all day from noon to around 1 o'clock in the morning, like 12:20 in the morning. So I watch all day long. My TV is on split screen times whatever all day long for the most part. And I just absolutely love it. Had the opportunity, like you were talking about, we both get to talk to people that coaches and student athletes from around the country thanks to the NCAA. And last year was a monumental year for Wake Up Call and what we were able to do. And I know you and I got to be on a bunch of calls and to share with everybody right now, just so you know, the Kansas Jayhawks, the Wagner Seahawks, the Dayton Flyers, as well as the Utah State Aggies, the Houston Cougars, and the Long Beach State Beach are all on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt with Q&As that you can go and check out from this year's Division I men's basketball tournament. What did you take away from yesterday, Chris? Were you watching all day long? And what are your thoughts on the beginning of the round of 64?
Well, if you could hear me better, if I could, sorry, if the sound's not great, but I had to work yesterday, but I had it on my phone, so I was keeping it updated on my phone. And Duquesne Dukes up there in Pittsburgh, beating BYU. That's pretty good for that conference because that conference is is it the Northeast Conference?
For Duquesne is in the A-10.
Yeah, okay, the A-10. So they used to be in the Northeast Conference. They're in there for football. I forgot they're in the football. But for the A-10, from them knocking off BYU, now they have a really hard game against Illinois on Saturday. And Illinois is, they came out of that Big Ten championship, as a surprise winner because everybody thought Purdue was going to win the whole thing. And Purdue got knocked off by Wisconsin, who basically steamrolled Maryland 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Or they just, yeah. So that was pretty good for folks in Duquesne, and we work with Duquesne with their football program. So congratulations for them up there in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. Something exciting in Pittsburgh besides Russell Wilson, being traded and Justin Fields showing up there and everybody else getting U-hauled out of Steeler camp, But and then other games like like Kansas last night, barely beating Bobby Bowden's alma mater, Stanford, or Jimbo Fisher's alma mater, Stanford, and having that. I was just reading they had a call on Nicholas Timberlake, who is a Towson University alumni, who transferred to Kansas. I found that out before the tournament started, and he called that guy a foul when he boxed him out or something. So it was a controversial call at the end of that game. And
Yeah, it was.
If you're Stanford, you want to you feel like you had Kansas on the ropes. Another blue blood going down almost.
Yeah, no, that game, and I was watching that game live, and I mean, to me, the broadcasters talked about it. They put eyes on it. They put it up on the screen a bunch of times. I put eyes on it, and it looked like Sanford's defender just hit the ball. That's all. It looked like he touched the ball with his fingertips, and then it was a clean block from behind Timberlake. And it was funny because he got asked that question in the post-game press conference. He got asked the question, like, was it a foul? And he's like, oh, it was for sure a foul. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're going to say that. I mean, you're not going to, I mean, I guess, well, I shouldn't say you're going to say that. If it was me, I would have been like, it wasn't a foul. Like, it wasn't a foul. We got the call, and that's great, but it actually wasn't. But, yeah, he said, because I was wondering that. I'm like, is he going to be honest about this? And maybe from his point of view, it was a foul. Maybe the way that he felt it was, or maybe he was told before he went out to the podium, hey, whatever they ask you, it was a foul. And ultimately, it doesn't look like it was a foul at all. And it's one of the things that pisses me off in the world of collegiate basketball in today's world. And that is the fact that if you want to block a shot in today's college basketball, it is very difficult, if not at times feeling impossible, to block a shot without being flagged for a foul. And it's frustrating to me to be put in that position, especially big men that are out there, that they can't protect the rim because they're getting called for absolutely everything. And in the case of Sanford here, this was a game that was very within reach. It was a one-possession game. There was plenty of time on the clock. There was the opportunity for them to get the ball and not need a three in order to take the lead. And instead, Timberlake goes to the free throw line. That creates more separation. Then Sanford doesn't get, they don't make the shot. And then ultimately, they lose this game by a couple possessions. That play, that call, that official's decision, and as a team to uphold that decision, potentially cost Sanford. It changed the entire game. And I can't stand when those moments happen. I can't stand when officials affect the end of a game like that. And if you go back and you watch Sanford, you feel like Kansas got away with something and you feel like Sanford had something taken from them. Now, granted, if they were winning during the game, they don't have to worry about that. You can point to a million other times where they could have gotten this rebound. They could have taken that shot. They could have not committed that foul. There's always things that lead into it. But at the same time, coming down the stretch, you got to make the right call. And if you don't know what the right call, if you cannot make the right call on that, then you just let it be what it is. But I think that's one of the calls of the tournament that's really going to sit with people and echo with people that, did Kansas get the blue blood call last night?
Well, I feel like these refs making these calls, we see it in college, we see it in pros, we see it everywhere, every sport. They make these bowhead calls, and you can't talk to the refs after the game. You're not allowed to be talked to. They get dressed. They have some guy in baseball who's the umpire supervisor you could talk to after the game, who will talk to the umpire about what happened.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that needs to be gone, because I feel like in this day and age of social media and everything out there, I think you need to have the guy, the umpire needs to be upfront with us as media people, saying, okay, yes, this is the reason why I called him out at second base. He was, like yesterday with the Met game, Mets and Tigers, Lindor, French Nestor Lindor got called for instruction because I guess the new rule now you can't like guard second base before they throw down to second or something.
Yeah.
And that's to me like what was that rule? So that should have been like something that the umpire should have came out and say, this is the new rule this year. And and be more like educated to the public, so we don't have people like you and I or people on social media calling people out, going, "Oh, that guy's an a-hole. He doesn't know what he's doing." It's like, come on. We all need to be working. We're all on social media now, so come on.
Yeah, I mean, it was the call of yesterday, and you hope that those don't happen. I can't pinpoint any other ones that made me kind of scratch my head, but that was one I saw in real time. When you're watching a bunch of the games at the same time too, it's, you're going to miss some stuff because only one of them is on audio. But,
Right.
I mean, yesterday's games, they were electric, and Duquesne, their victory that we talked about was awesome. I mean, through the entire game for the most part, I mean, it really honestly looked like 99.9% of the time or 97% or 95% of the time they had control of the game. And, you look at the Dayton Flyers, they ended their game on a 24-4 run in the 7-10 matchup. That was a huge game. Oakland, as we talked about, bumping out Kentucky. And NC State, again, you and I cover the ACC closely. NC State had to play 5 games in 5 days. They were one of the lower seeds between 10 and 15 in the ACC. So they had to play on day one. So in order for them to win, there were other teams set up, like North Carolina, to play 3 games. And in the case of NC State, they had to go play 5. They play North Carolina in the championship game. North Carolina's had a bunch of days rest, plus those 2 rounds, and they don't win in 3 days' time. NC State wins in 5 days' time, and Chapel Hill had to hand the baton to Raleigh. And now we continue to see NC State win. They didn't just beat Texas Tech in the Big 12. They beat them by double digits. So what's your thoughts on NC State? People keep saying, and I know that this is going to be the theme in the story, and it's ridiculous, but I know it's going to continue to be the thing, is when are they going to run out of gas? When are they going to be too tired to move on? Eventually, they got to just get fatigued. They don't look fatigued at all, man. What do you think?
No, well, I went to the game on Saturday night down in D.C., and I covered it, and I asked one of the players, I think I asked Middlebrooks, one of the players, I said, so are you going to go home and take a nap for a couple days? And he was like, yeah, definitely taking a nap to get myself and ready to go for Thursday night. But, whatever day they're playing. And Coach Keese, who I covered it used to be called the Colonial, now it's the Coastal Association, and he was the head coach at NCW down in, Wilmington, North Carolina. And I asked him after the game, I said, winning, 3 CAA titles,
yeah,
and a chance to go to the NCAA tournament, or winning this one in ACC championship in DC, which one's the sweetest? And he goes, all of them are the sweetest, but this one is actually better because this is 37 years since we won one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm thinking 37 years, really? I'm thinking, I know 83 they won, with Jim, the cardiac kids in 83, beating up there in, was it up in Utah or something like that? They beat Houston, for the title. But I didn't think they took 37 years to win an ACC title. It's like, good Lord, I'm like, and they played every year. Like, if you look at the history of the ACC tournament, they've been in the finals the last couple of years, but a couple of years ago in 2007 against North Carolina. North Carolina beat them by 2.
Yeah, and if you go back and if you look at that, I mean, 37 years, I'm 38. So if that be the, so it says, because we go back here, and it says, as a member of the ACC, they won 11 conference championships as well as 2 national championships. And so let's see here. So
think they beat, one was in the 70s. They won.
So 1987 was the last time that they won the ACC tournament, which means let's think, it's March. I was born in October. So yeah. So if I had turned 1, so I'm born October 21st, 1985. So I turned 1 in 1986. This was before I would have turned 2. So the last time NC State won an ACC tournament title, I was 1 year old.
Yeah, and plus you didn't know what the ACC was anyway. You were trying to, like, your mom was taking care of you, and putting you in your playpen, keeping you out of trouble, and you're trying to get in trouble because 1-year-olds always get in trouble with something.
Yeah. I was doing what I do 37 years later. I was watching television. So,
yeah. Hey, I tell this story all the time because we cover bowling on my station, and I tell people, my mom, when I was like 1 year old, 2 years old, put me in front of put me in my playpen and put me in front of the TV, and this orange bowling ball kept going down the lanes.
Yeah.
And I was just mesmerized, and she goes, my mom goes, that was my daycare for an hour and a half.
Yeah. That was mine too. My mom used to bring me during the day to the bowling alley, and she would bowl, and I would be in the daycare in the bowling alley. And to this day, if I hear a song that played while I was in the bowling alley, it's one of the greatest songs of my life. I don't remember them till I hear them, and as soon as I hear it, I just pause. And it was crazy because it was 2 years ago. I was down in Florida. I was in Orlando. And at the pool, the DJ was playing this song that I heard when I was at the bowling alley when I was like 4 years old. And I just came outside and I stood there in silence, and the world was quiet. And I don't know, it's like an untouchable thing. I'm like, this music is my childhood. It's peaceful. And I just wanted to hear the breeze. And it was amazing. So yeah, bowling has a special place in my family too. My dad bowled, my mom bowled, my grandmother bowled. Her pin, the last pin that she knocked down, is over my shoulder in the back of the studio here when she was 83. I think that was the last pin she knocked down. And at 98 years old, she came to my apartment at the time before I had a house. She came to my apartment for Thanksgiving, and she said, I said, that's yours. She goes, give that to me. She takes her bowling pin. She says, you got a pen? I gave her a Sharpie. At 98 years old, she wrote her name, Marie, and she put, I love you. And so that's written on the bowling pin behind me here. So bowling is an awesome thing. So if we're bowling for strikes, I don't know if more than 2 people in the world have come up all strikes after the round of 64. A lot of people have gutter balled, and there's a lot with the split in the back. So what does your bracket look like this morning?
Well, I didn't get a chance to write one down, but I just did it in my head, knowing what I watched on TV. Because we have that YouTube thing, that the 4 corners, all the the games at one time.
Yeah.
Or where it says where ADD is like full swing. Like we're like not moving.
Yeah.
4 corners, but it's I just feel like yesterday, if I did pick a bracket, I think basically, I would have picked Duquesne over BYU, because I saw BYU a couple weeks ago on TV late night, and I wasn't impressed by them.
Yeah.
And then with Kentucky, this one and done stuff that Kentucky does all the time, like they're going to start realizing it's not going to work anymore. That's why Coach K got out. That's why Roy Williams got out. Because they got tired of this one and done garbage. Because you can't have somebody committed for 4 years to your university. I think NC State should wear their red uniforms from now on until the end of the tournament.
Well, they said Kevin Keats is very superstitious, so he might not change whatever he wore. He might wear the same thing tomorrow for his game.
They're rolling with 6 in a row with the red jerseys on.
Yeah, I would think, like, if somehow they become the higher seed, they're going to be like, you wear white. We're not wearing white.
I know, because I just feel like they're just having, and I don't know, and I think the game that really back to the ACC championship last week down there in DC. I was there Friday night. The buzzer beater beating Virginia to tie the game.
Yeah, I
think it really gave them more energy, because they looked a little sluggish that night against Virginia. And Virginia, Virginia, they didn't want to play like the '85 Bears, the massive defense, except for they couldn't score more points against Colorado State the other night.
No.
Yeah,
Took them 9 minutes to score, something like that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's more than the football team. No offense to Mr. Elliott, Coach Elliott, who's a good friend of ours down at Clemson, but I think Coach Elliott of the Cavaliers football team could score more than 7 points in the first 9 minutes of the game.
Yeah. No, I was. I mean, in today there's a setup of potential epic proportions. Again, we know that the other half are going to be playing. What'd you say?
JMU, folks, if you have JMU on your bracket, make sure you put them to take. They're going to beat Wisconsin, because if you look at it, they're 31-5. Okay, I know they play in the Sun Belt, but they did go into Michigan State early in the year, the first game of the year, and knock off Michigan State in a Big Ten arena. They were perfect until they lost their first game of the year, probably before Christmas. But I feel like they could beat a Big Ten school. They know how to beat one. They just did one this year. So, and Wisconsin is a different type of team in the Big Ten, because if you're here in Maryland or you watched the Big Ten tournament last week, Wisconsin basically has good 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
And they can light up the scoreboard, like Johnny Halliday, the voice of the Terps down here, is saying, like, well, we're down by 28 points here, and they were like, the broadcast was to the point they were talking about whether they're playing golf tomorrow or they're going to the Terps Pro Day next Friday. They were done doing basketball broadcast when you're down 28 points right away.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, this is going to be an awesome day for, the first day. The first four, first and foremost, was great. And Grambling State, who came out of the first four that I had picked, they're going to be going up against Purdue.
Can I say something real quick? I don't understand this. I was listening to the video chat the other night with Grambling, and and I know these all the black colleges like the MEAC. We have the MEAC here in Maryland, with Morgan and Coppin and all that stuff. But do they still play a game called basketball? We all play the same game. Why does it have to be, different? I just don't understand that. It's like, I'm not trying to give anybody controversy here, but I just don't understand. It's just basketball is basketball. That's why I look at it. We both have referees. We both play the same game. We both have the same uniform on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is with HBCUs is that it's been difficult for you don't typically get in today's world the top student athletes to go there, and I think that there's they're trying to shift that and trying to create more of an opportunity for that. I look at it and say, if you look through the eyes of someone who sees everybody as equal, and I would like to think those are my eyes, I just watch ball. I never look at someone and go, wow, that's a really good white basketball player. Wow, that's a really good black basketball player. That's a really good South Carolinian. That's a really good Floridian. I just look at someone and I go, oh, okay. Like, they're fundamentally sound, or this person knows how to do this. I mean, Drew Timme could be black, white, blue, purple, orange. But when I watched him play last year, I just said to myself, like, Drew Timme is an old school inside guy. And I miss the old school inside guys. I miss the Patrick Ewings. I miss the Roosevelt Bowies at Syracuse. I miss the Derek Coleman's. It's
the big guys.
It's a lost art. The Shaquille O'Neals, of LSU. There's a loss of that, and it's frustrating. And so when you see that come back, when you see the teams that do it, it's a beautiful thing. Colgate has evolved. They're playing today, and they've evolved that they're not just a 3-point shooting team. They put some big guys underneath, and they could be a terror. And a couple of years ago, they were hanging with Wisconsin because Wisconsin had big old boys underneath, and Colgate had big old boys underneath, and they made it a game. So, I mean, it all comes down to matchups, and it comes down to, first and foremost, it comes down to, are you locked in? Are you prepared for a matchup like this? I mean, I talked to Bill Self last night, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, and he said this is the first time that he played buckyball, and he's like, I'd be cool never having to play this again, because what he had to go up against at Samford, and the way that they played basketball. So, it all comes down to, are you prepared for the team that's in front of you? Have you done your research? And is your team ready for this? Are they schemed for this? Can they do this? Because, I've seen it at all different – I've seen it in men's and women's basketball in all different nooks and crannies. I saw it last weekend when Lemoyne played against Sacred Heart. And Lemoyne's women's team, Sacred Heart, presses the entire game. They full court press. They stay on you at all times. They trap. And I don't know if Lemoyne's seen anything like that all year. And Sacred Heart just took advantage of 99.9% of the possessions because of how they attacked. And now Lemoyne today is in the WNIT playing Niagara, and they trap and they full court press even more than Sacred Heart. So now, they have to say, we've experienced it a couple times this season. We've adjusted to it. We're going to grow from it and then see how they react to it. But man, it all comes down to what team is feeling good, what team has let the nerves go away, what team's excited, what team's prepared, and what team is set up to scheme well against another team. There's a lot of opportunities for upsets. I picked Yale, a 14 seed or a 13 seed over 4-seeded Auburn today. And I picked that one without even really having to sit there and hem and haw about it.
Right, and like that, I appreciate, congratulations to Grambling. They're playing today. Beating, win their first ever NCAA tournament victory, and now they're, Grambling State. You think, what do you think Grambling State is? When you hear the word Grambling State, you think football, right? With Eddie Robinson and and all the stuff. He was good in football. Now they're trying to change it to, it's also a basketball school, and that's good. They won their first tournament. Awesome. And Howard, they had a chance to beat Wagner the other night. They're just down here in D.C. 40 minutes on a good day. And congratulations to the guy who, he almost won. He Coach Blakeney, who is a former Duke guy, who used to play for Coach K, so he knows how to get his players to play. But like I said, what we were just saying, I just look at people with a jersey, and it's like you're playing basketball and you're in a jersey, you do a good job, you win. And if the other team beats the other team, that's what it is. And I don't look at, I wish I had their skills to play basketball.
Well, I
wish I could, instead of hack and sacking people and fouling out in 5 minutes,
Yeah. Well, there's all different types of players when you go out there and play some street ball. There's that person that's just going to put their body on you and lean on you and push on you. And then, there's people that are going to be scrappy and try and be a little bit faster, and how you run into the buzzsaw. There's a full slew of games that's today. Do you have, when we look at all of these potential upsets, Colgate, a 14-seed against 3-seeded Baylor, 12-seeded UAB against 5-seeded San Diego State, and Mountain West has not had a good performance after getting more bids than ever. So looking at those, looking at 11-seeded New Mexico against number 6-seeded Clemson, 13-seeded Yale against 4-seeded Auburn, 10 Colorado up against 7 Nebraska. When you're looking at 13-seeded Vermont up against 4-seeded Duke, is there anything that sticks out to you? 13-seeded College at Charleston, who has a native of upstate New York, Frankie Policelli, on the team, going up against 4-seeded Alabama. 12-seeded James Madison, you mentioned, against 5-seeded Wisconsin. Do you have any upsets? 12-seed Grand Canyon, 5-seed St. Mary's. Today arguably could be somehow crazier than yesterday. Do you have some of these games circled?
Yeah, well, I think first you got to think Colgate. I call him the fighting Rob Stones, because Rob Stone, who works for Fox, he good friend of ours on the show. He is a Colgate alumni, so I just call him the fighting Rob Stones.
Nice.
Nice. And then you'll see Duke. Duke's going to turn around and beat Vermont because they're upset because they didn't do well in the ACC tournament. Charleston, they're playing Alabama. If you take the video from last year between Maryland and Alabama, you could probably beat Alabama, because you just have to block out the big guys inside and watch out for the 3-pointers, because they could go off real quick. Basically, and then other teams. I think it's just going to be we're going to have another upset today. I think another 13 seed might go up and beat a 4 seed or something like that. But I don't see a 16 seed going to be a 1 seed this year. I think that's not going to happen. Maybe who's the 1 seed? Is there any 1 seeds today?
Houston will have their game coming up at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT against 16-seeded Longwood, and we will also see at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS, number 1 Purdue will face off against number 16 Grambling State.
Yeah, I think Purdue's going to win because they got embarrassed last year, and Houston, who basically just took a nosedive in that Big 12 title game, I guess they're going to regroup and take Longwood to the woodshed, and it'll be really a bad game for Longwood. So
that coming here from Chris Heidel of HerbFM Sports Radio. Chris, before I let you go, let everybody know how they can connect with you, when they can watch and listen, and how they can interact on social media.
Well, we're on HerbFM. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. You just type in HerbFM Sports Radio on Twitter. You can watch our show every Monday night at 7:30, or when I'm not working on Mondays. It could be Thursdays. We'll let you know a week ahead of time. This week, coming up on Monday, the 25th of March, we have former Professional Bowlers Tour Hall of Famer, PBA Hall of Famer David Houston on, who won 2 United States Open titles back in the 90s. He won a Masters. This week was Masters week for the Professional Bowlers Tour. And then also Steve Jaros, who just got elected in the PBA Hall of Fame this year. He will be joining us. And then Thomas Larson, who won a Masters title before Jason Belmonte won 3 in a row, will join us from Vegas, because that's where they are this week, in Vegas for the Masters. And then on top of that, we'll get yourself ready for some. We'll talk some basketball. I got Danielle, a lady down in Tallahassee who's a lawyer. We're going to talk more about that Florida State Clemson lawsuit going on.
Yeah.
ACC. So we're going to talk a little more with her because she's involved with it. Not involved with it, but she's a lawyer. So we're going to talk to her about it. And then whatever we got coming up on the on the show on Monday. So it's 7:30 Eastern Time until 9:30, or sometimes we can't get off until 9:45 because we get a little too. We lose time sometimes. But if you just watch us on YouTube, just go to our page. It's HerbFM Sports Radio on YouTube. On Facebook, just type in HerbFM Sports Radio. Will pop up on if you make us one of your favorites, and then we're all good to go. So hope you guys tune in on Monday.
That come from Chris Heidel. Make sure you tune in HerbFM Sports Radio. Chris, as always, happy to have you. Enjoy the craziness of the next 13 hours of basketball, and we'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks for letting me come on, and God bless everybody up there in Syracuse. Hope you guys enjoyed the last weeks of winter.
Yeah, God bless you out there in Maryland as well. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. See you.
That coming from Chris Heidel. Once again, HerbFM Sports Radio on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hopefully you were able to hear him okay. He was coming in really low here in the studio for us for whatever reason. But hopefully you were able to hear him. We try to make some adjustments there, and we appreciate him coming on as always. We're going to take our final step aside of today's broadcast. We'll wrap up the show right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I have one more note to make in a moment. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I got a little bone to pick before I finish off today's show. I mean, it's a good thing, and I think it's wonderful if you're going to the game. But I also find it a little bit disrespectful, too. Do you know how much money it costs to go see Colgate play Baylor today? $2! $2! Dose. That's it. $2, fans. $2. Disrespectful, man. I mean, I would go. It's $2. The game's at FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Go see the game. $2. Who else is $2? Clemson at New Mexico. Both of those games are being played at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, and whoever wins those games plays each other on Sunday in the round of 32. Look at this. $2. Like, as a fan, I'm excited. Houston's game against Longwood, $4. The most expensive one, there's two. Purdue at Grambling State, $135. And Utah State at TCU, $135. So think about this. Purdue is a 1 seed playing a 16 seed at Grambling State. Tickets are, the lowest ticket that I'm seeing is $135. The other 1 seed playing the other 16 seed Houston Longwood, $4. A difference of $131 for a 1 seed playing a 16 seed. Nebraska at Texas A&M, $4. Auburn at Yale, $5. These are good ticket item games, folks. I don't know what you're doing, but you go to see these games. How about this? UConn at Stetson, another 1 seed playing a 16 seed that I forgot to mention before. UConn at Stetson is played at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn for $32. That's the cheapest thing in Brooklyn since, I don't even know, 10 years ago. I don't think you can buy a burger in Brooklyn that's less than the price of the ticket to see UConn play Stetson. I don't know if you can have an Uber ride from down the street from 3 blocks away that's less than this. The cheapest thing in Brooklyn today is UConn at Stetson. Go to the game. It's $32. San Diego State at UAB in Spokane, Washington, $5. These games are awesome. Price-wise, it's great. I love the price point. Duke at Vermont is $112. Wisconsin at James Madison's $112. Both of those games are at the Barclays Center. So let's have a conversation about this. Wisconsin at James Madison, Duke at Vermont, both in the Barclays, which is where UConn is playing today. The Duke Vermont 4 versus 13, Wisconsin 5 versus 12, James Madison $112. To go see UConn, who could win back-to-back national championships, $32. By the way, Duke Vermont could be a really interesting game, and there's a really good chance that Wisconsin could lose to James Madison. So I understand the Wisconsin James Madison being the more expensive ticket, but I also want to look at the fact that UConn, when you're the 1 seed, you get to go closer to home. And they're going to the Barclays, which is, down the road from Madison Square Garden, where they just had the Big East tournament. But Duke benefits from this as well. Duke has played in the Barclays a bunch of times. When John Shire was the assistant coach, Duke plays in the Barclays because that's in the rotation for the ACC tournament. So that's a little unfair that a 4 seed gets to play in a place that they've been in recently. But Duke getting unfair benefits is, it's like the word "the." It's just always there. And I respect Duke. We also know that Duke they get special treatment. There's the special treatment people, and Duke is one of them places. But the tournament today is going to be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That's where it's going to start today at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to start with Florida Atlantic, the 8 seed, taking on Northwestern, the 9 seed, the American Athletic, having both of their teams that are in the tournament playing on the same day today. And so the American Athletic represented by FAU for the first time ever after FAU made it to their first ever Final Four last year as a member of Conference USA, and Northwestern coming to you from the Big Ten. So we will be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, the Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena in Spokane, Washington, the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Those are the 4 locations for today's game. So we look forward to doing that, seeing that with you. Please go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on X @CallDT, to see all my Q&As with the NCAA tournament. Plenty of teams, and hopefully, God willing, more to be added today, and so on and so forth, for the 2024 NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. I want to thank you for tuning in for the Annoying Moment of the Week every Friday, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Every Friday, Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right off the highway, and Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York, right off the highway as well. The top dog of the week, where we honored the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, the Dayton Flyers, the Duquesne Dukes, and the NC State Wolfpack for their play in the round of 64. Here, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, right on the other side of BJ's, coming off Avery Boulevard, and down the road, 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, Canine Campground Dog Boarding for longer-term care. And a big-time thanks to my guest, Chris Heidel of HerbFM Sports Radio, and make sure you go and listen to their broadcast and check out HerbFM Sports Radio on the YouTube, where you can be a subscriber. You can hit the notification bell and always be connected to HerbFM Sports Radio and all the work that Chris is doing over there. Big time thanks to all of you listening here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, worldwide on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archives like yesterday's broadcast did, with Ross and I picking our entire bracket in the drive, proudly presented by Great Lakes Honda City. Drive off their lot with your new or used car, bought or leased, on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Head over there today. They are open till 6 p.m. today, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., so make sure you head over there today. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. A big time thanks to our incredible team of partners that you can go and visit in Central and Upstate New York today. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, and Mother's Cupboard. At Carvel DeWitt, you can get my exclusive sundae, the DT Dolphin, in honor of the Lemoyne College Dolphins that are right down the street from Carvel DeWitt. You can go and get the DT Dolphin on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York, at Carvel DeWitt, the longest-standing Carvel franchise in America. It is mint chocolate chip, green for the Dolphins, of course, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. You can also go to the Mother's Cupboard, Syracuse staple restaurant. If you know Syracuse, you know Mother's. If you know Mother's, you know a great piece of Syracuse. 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., where you can get my exclusive breakfast sandwich, the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Rob Drummond swears by it, and I appreciate that. A new show with Rob and I from Mother's Cupboard to Table's newest episode is going to be airing today on YouTube and Facebook, and we're going to share it on Instagram as well. So do not miss a moment of that, and it'll be on X at CallDT. So make sure you check that out. And, of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Join us for Dolphin Time every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday of each month with AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, with a behind-the-scenes exclusive look at what's going on and breaking news as well with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. The second and fourth Wednesday of each month, we jump into the stories of the Dolphins, which is called the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. This week with the softball team, who just won their first ever NEC game, their first Division I conference win in program history in the NEC happened yesterday, an 8-6 victory on the road at Merrimack. Big time shout out to the Lemoyne Dolphins softball team, to the entire group of student athletes, to Tracy Roman, their head coach, and everyone who helps with the team. And of course, our guest this week, pitcher Laura Bennett and first baseman Mackenzie Bergdahl. With that being said, you will find all of our content with Lemoyne on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Hit subscribe and the notification bell. You can see the Lemoyne playlist on our YouTube channel as well. And of course, you can go to wakeupcalldt.com to see the Dolphins on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate the Bobcats men's and women's basketball, as well as men's and women's soccer, baseball, and esports, all joining us here where sports truly meets that thing called life, with the Bobcat Buzz, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Many thanks to them for all the incredible work that they do, as well as to the administrative staff that's there, Mary Hawkins, and to the entire staff with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Find all of our content on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Hit subscribe and the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find them on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And you know what it is. Go Bobcat Nation. The Binghamton University Bearcats are the newest exclusive multimedia marketing partner with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find your Bearcats every week during Bearcat Time, which is Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll be hanging out with the Binghamton University Bearcats in what we call Moments with Marshall and the Bearcat Break Room. Tuesdays every single month, you'll find a plethora of Bearcat Break Room specials, and once a month, you will find Moments with Marshall, featuring Athletics Director of Binghamton University, Gene Marshall, giving us an inside look at Binghamton University, going behind the scenes of the athletic department. The Bearcat Break Room will go into the stories of student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year across the many sports teams at Binghamton University. To find all of our content, go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and make sure to check out the Binghamton University playlist. You can also find Binghamton on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and on their own page underneath the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, once again, many thanks to all of you for watching and listening. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress, do your best, and enjoy tourney time, folks. Be good to each other, and remember, it doesn't matter who says you can't. Go out there and chase your dreams. And if you trust God and you give yourself everything you can, you do everything you can, and you work hard, you will find more than you could have ever asked for.